I want to tell you a story that most people have never heard. It's about a man who was tortured in the desert for his faith, who was owned as property, who was considered one of the lowest people in his society, and who was later chosen by the Prophet Muhammad as his trusted financial keeper. This is the story of Bilal ibn Rabah, and it's one of the most powerful stories in Islamic history. Let's get into it. Bilal ibn Rabah was born into slavery in Mecca. He was owned by a man named Umayyah ibn Khalaf, one of the leaders of the Quraysh, the ruling tribe of Mecca. When Bilal heard about Islam and chose to believe, Umayyah's response was brutal. He would take Bilal out into the desert during the hottest part of the day. He would lay him flat on the burning sand, and then he would place a massive, heavy boulder on Bilal's chest, trying to force him to abandon his faith and return to idol worship. And every single time, Bilal gave the same answer: Ahad, one. God is one. No matter how long the torture went, no matter how intense the heat, no matter how much pressure was placed on his chest and his body, Ahad, he never broke. When Abu Bakr al-Siddiq heard about what was happening to Bilal, he went to Umayyah. He paid the price to buy Bilal from his enslaver, and then he immediately freed him. No conditions, no debt, no expectation. Abu Bakr freed Bilal for the sake of God and God alone. Bilal was free, and from that moment, his life changed completely. Once Bilal was free and part of the Muslim community, something remarkable happened. He didn't fade into the background. He rose. He was elevated by the Prophet himself to positions of deep trust and public honor. The Prophet chose Bilal to be the first muezzin in Islamic history. The muezzin is the person who calls the adhan, the Islamic call to prayer, 5 times every day. Think about what that means. The first human voice to ever call the entire Muslim community to prayer was the voice of a man who had been tortured and enslaved. His voice echoed across Medina. It was heard by thousands of Muslims every single day. And the Prophet also trusted Bilal with managing the finances of his household and the early Muslim community. The man who had been owned now managed the treasury. Now here's the question that matters. Why Bilal? In 7th century Arabian society, lineage and tribal status meant everything. The Quraysh ruled because of their bloodline. Social rank was determined at birth. The Prophet rejected all of that, not just in words, but in action. He chose Bilal because Bilal had already proven, under the most extreme circumstances imaginable, that his character was unshakable. He was trustworthy. He was loyal. He was someone who told the truth at the cost of everything. In Islam, that is what determines your value. Not your race, not your wealth, not your social standing. The Prophet backed that up every single day, with the appointments he made, the people he trusted, and the way he treated every human being around him. At the final sermon of the Prophet, delivered to over 100,000 people in the year 632 AD, he said, "There is no superiority of an Arab over a non-Arab. No white person is superior to a black person, nor a black person over a white, except by piety and good conduct." He said this in front of the largest gathering of Muslims the world had ever seen at that time. But it wasn't a new idea. It was a statement of what he had already been living and demonstrating for over 20 years. Bilal ibn Rabah was the proof. Walking, breathing, living proof that in Islam, equality is not a slogan. It's a practice. Here's what I want you to take from Bilal's story. Islam and equality are not in tension. They are the same thing in the original, authentic teachings of this religion. A man who was tortured, enslaved, and considered property became the first voice to call the world to prayer and the trusted keeper of the Prophet's treasury. Because his character was proven, and in Islam, that has always been the only thing that truly matters. If this story moved you, share it, because more people need to hear the real face of Islam. Check out Path to Islam for more content like this. Links are in the description. And I'll see you in the next one.